Hey, what's going on YouTube? Happy Sunday night. Back to the grind tomorrow. Unfortunately. Um, Pretty lame weekend here for diecast. Friday night was okay, but didn't have time this weekend to do any hunting with other stuff going on. But there is a car that I got Friday night that I didn't open, although I opened one very similar to it. But I want to take a look at it, and then I want to compare some different brands of like similar style cars. Basically, as mentioned in the video the other night, it's just late model, highly detailed stuff like this Chevy Volt that we're looking at here from Greenlight. The car here it's so nice, it could almost pass for Kyosho. I mean, it looks very much like a Kyosho does. I almost wish that I had a Kyosho Prius just to do a side-by-side. But the way that it's put together with the plastic base and the prototypical wheels and the lens headlights and taillights, the build quality and the fit and finish are very similar to what you see with Kyosho. So, but it's weird because Greenlight doesn't, most of their cars don't have this type of a fit and finish. Most of them are like really heavy. There's less emphasis on proportions. Maybe that's because they're, 95% of their catalog is classic cars. I don't know. I honestly don't know the reason for it, but this is definitely a different fit and finish than what we see most of the time with Greenlight. So, but you can see a lot of care went into designing this car and getting it, getting it done and getting it put out. And I think the result is great, even though it's just a Chevy Volt and nobody cares about a Chevy Volt. But it just looks so nice that, it's the type of stuff that I like to collect. Stuff like this. I like to collect pretty much anything that has any decent level of detail. So, with all of that said, here's the car that I got the other night that I've been kind of talking trade with someone, and I thought maybe this would be something he might be interested in, but he doesn't seem to be, so I'm just going to crack it open, and if he does decide he wants it, it can go right back into the box. These are not sealed, so it's not a big deal. But this is Norev from the 3 inches. I guess the 3 inches are the true 1/64 scale cars, not like the larger Norev cars, which have different packaging. Those ones are more common, and while Norev are not commercially available here in the United States, the people that I see that sell them typically don't sell these 3-inch models. They sell the the larger excuse me, the larger cars, which I want to say they're 1/58 scale, maybe, give or take a little bit. But we're going to take this out and take a look at it. Now, the other night, this is a Peugeot Novell 308, and the other night, I did crack one of these, but it was a different color. It was a silver color, but I want to see it in red here. And I'm going to grab the silver one because one of you guys, I don't remember the name, but one of you guys made an excellent point that I have talked about on the channel before. Stand by. So, anyway, so we have here this Peugeot 308. It's a very nice casting. These Norev 3-inch castings are very, very nice. I don't know why they call them 3-inch, because they're not all 3 inches. They're all different. For example, this one here, very small car, is maybe a 2-inch car, maybe 2 1/4. So it's definitely not, you know, fill the blister mentality. But it looks really good here in red. I like the silver too, but we're going to talk about that. So, as you see, very highly detailed, accurately proportioned. It's got a proper stance. It has prototypical wheels. Really nice detail with the trim, the grille, the transparent lensed headlights, and all of the trim going around all the glass. The bottom of the side view mirrors. The only thing it doesn't have that I feel like it kind of should is the weather stripping around the windshield. Other than that, the thing looks pretty darn good. Although you do get painted taillights. The two issues with the car, and they're not big issues, but outside of the fact that it's a Peugeot, which, you know, if I was in Europe would be fine, but I've never seen a Peugeot in person living in the United States. Two issues I have with the car. One of them kind of a big deal, one of them not a big deal. And the first one that's not a big deal is the painted taillights. That's not a big deal to me. The lensed headlights are nice enough that, you know, it's fine. But where I think there is kind of a big deal with all of these Norev cars is with the plastic tires. And I think even the other, well, I don't know. I thought the other ones, the ones that are a little bit bigger, had rubber tires. But these ones don't. And for the quality of the cars, it's kind of a bummer. They really should. These cars really should have rubber tires. But they do have prototypical wheels. So if I had to pick rubber tires or prototypical wheels, I would take prototypical wheels every time. Anyway, so here is the one I cracked the other night. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because somebody commented, and I forget the name, but it's a very good point that he made, and it's been brought up on my channel at least a couple of times in the past. I'm a detailed car collector. Scale is fairly important to me. I'm okay with a little bit of variance, but not a lot. Like Johnny Lightning is as small as I want to go, and I really don't like going as big as M2. To me, they're a little too big, with the exception of the Auto Japan cars. Those are pretty true to scale. But with scaling being important, and with companies like Tomica Limited Vintage and Auto World putting an emphasis on scale and claiming to be true to scale, you have to be careful when you create a car that size, like this, for example, and put a metallic flake paint job on it. Because while the car is probably scaled pretty close to accurate, I'm pretty confident that the paint is not. And so, in this case, this paint to me looks like a 1-to-1 scale metal flake. Like this looks like the exact paint that they would paint the car with. Now, I don't think it's a huge deal on this car. I don't think it really affects the overall look of this car too much. Maybe it's maybe it's because it's silver. But on some of the other cars, like if you get a blue color, or, you know, like a forest green or something like that, and you go metal flake, it's really going to throw off the scale of the car. So, hit the comment that was made, you know, his suggestion was, you know, I would almost just prefer that they don't use metallic paint. And honestly, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay if they just stopped. But I do have some examples of metallic paint that I think looks good, and I think it looks scaled pretty appropriate. So anyway, so there's silver, there's red. You guys can be the judge. You know, it's subjective. It's like taste buds. Everybody's going to like something different. I gravitate towards silver in this scale. So for me, I like the silver one, but the red one is, you know, almost equally as appealing to me as the silver one in this case. So stand by real quick. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So enough of these little Peugeots here. We're gonna look at, I guess, the next one that I'll show here. It's another car that kind of fits that theme, although it's doesn't have quite as much detail. It's still a really nicely detailed car, and this one does have a metallic. It's a metallic paint, and in this case, I don't think it throws off the scale at all. So, to me, if you're wondering, this is a Subaru Outback, or is it? Legacy. Subaru Legacy. But this just goes to show that I think metallic paint can be done in this scale. So, and this is another, actually, a really good example of the fact that you can do a highly detailed, well-proportioned, proper stanced replica model in this scale and do it for cheap, because this car has the same feel as like a Maisto fresh metal. Very light, feels very cheap to the touch. However, it displays extremely nicely. Now, they've done things to cut costs. Real basic plastic base, plastic tires, no interior, just dark blacked out windows, which I'm okay with. UCC, which is a great company. They make really nice die cast. They do the same thing. So, Subaru Legacy, late model, modern. I don't know if I'd go so far to call this premium detail, but definitely a detailed replica. Now, that same manufacturer, I didn't bring all these Subarus out. I just brought a couple. This is the Crosstrek. Now, every time I see one of these on the road, and I see them quite frequently, actually. It seems like ever since I got this car, I notice them anytime I see one. And they really stand out because of these wheels. That's what, to me, makes them real easy to spot, because these are prototypical wheels. And this is a factory color, as was that Legacy. So that's a cool thing about this Subaru promotional line, is that they are factory colors with prototypical wheels. And they made a few that I didn't get. I just got the first 5 that came out. But headlights and taillights are just painted, and they're real basic. It would have been really nice to get a tampo over the top to give that some lens detail. But, you know, still looks really good in my opinion. Much nicer than a Hot Wheels or even a Matchbox for that matter, and I'm a huge fan of Matchbox. Even going back to the green light, the Chevy Volt, even this one, this is a metal flake paint. And to me, this doesn't throw off the scale at all. It's almost like they scaled the metal flake in this paint, though. So that's another example there. So I just wanted to touch on that. The rest of these I'm just going to show. I'm not going to talk about the paint. I'm just going to show you some late model family cars that are pretty well detailed. So we'll start with this one. So seen the other night. It's another little Peugeot. It's amazing though how much nicer lens headlights make the car look. Because you take the lens headlights out, and these Norevs are pretty similar to the Subarus, I think, other than the headlights. The Norevs definitely have a little bit more detail, and they have the interior, so they're heavier. But cosmetically, I think they look actually really similar. So there's that one. This one here is a Citroen. I like this one. This one is pretty cool. Another metallic paint that, in my opinion, doesn't throw off the scale. It actually looks on point. Wheels look fantastic. I mean, if it had rubber tires and lens taillights, this thing would be money. Even if it just had a little bit of tampoed lens detail on the taillights. So a lot of these Peugeot and Citroens have these clear, like, glass roofs. So I'm wondering if they're like that in real life. I would think that they are. I don't think it's like Hot Wheels or Matchbox where they do it as a cost-cutting measure. Okay, so those are... Well, I got a couple more here, and then we'll get into the nice stuff. I mean, this stuff's nice, but we'll get into the true premium stuff. Okay, so this one here is a Citroen C1. Really cool looking little car. It reminds me of like a Fiat 500. Just the stance and the size. Just the way the car sets. All of these have side view mirrors. So they're cool little cars, and I didn't pay that much for them. You know, I think at $5 a piece, that's less than a green light or an M2. Some of them were $3. So here is a Citroen C Elise. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but basically this is a late model family sedan with some nice detail. Also has lens headlights, painted taillights. The last one before we get into the super premium stuff. This is put out by Schuco, but it's actually an old high-speed casting, which Shugo did a great job on it. It's part of their basic line, so it's not like they're premium cars where you get a nice metal base and rubber tires. Those are super heavy. This one is pretty heavy for having a plastic base. It is actually a pretty heavy car. Also has plastic tires, but it does have prototypical wheels. Very, very well proportioned, proper stance, and very nice detail, particularly in the headlights and grille. I think the taillights just have basic paint. But, you know, I don't know that anybody else did a Jag like this. Kyosho might have. Actually, Shuko might have done a more premium model. They do a lot of Porsche. But I don't know. On display, this thing looks really nice. It looks like a nice premium detailed car. Because when it's on display in the carny case or in the cabinet and you're looking at it, you can't tell that they're plastic tires. So it fits right in with Kyosho and TLV. Really cool car. Very nice looking car. I think they did a good job replicating it. Just the car has some really sexy lines to it. It's a real sleek looking big luxury sedan. Another luxury sedan. This one might be a little bit more of a sports sedan than a luxury sedan, or maybe a combination of both. Now we're getting into the Kyoshos, and I only brought a few of them out to take a look at, but this Mercedes it's a nice one. When I originally got this car, I got the white one and the black one, and I cut back and trimmed some of the fat of my collection about a year ago. And basically any Kyosho car that I had multiple colors of, I picked a color and parted ways with the extras. I don't actually, surprisingly, don't really regret doing that. I think for me, I'm happy with one example. And in this case, I'm glad it's white. The black looks better for sure, but it doesn't really display as well, and it doesn't show up as well on video. But I like the white. I think if I don't know what typically Kyosho makes 3 colors of each car, and I don't know what the other color is. I'm thinking it's probably silver, which would obviously be my first choice. But I have a ton of silver cars, so it's nice to have a white one as well. So you can see very nice, transparent, I don't know if it's transparent, translucent taillights, prototypical wheels. These Kyosho cars do have a plastic base, but they do have rubber tires. Very nice, very detailed front grille with transparent lensed headlights. Very, very sharp looking car. And sticking with that European late model 4-door sedan, here's another one that this one I've thought about parting with a few times over the course of the last year and a half, and I'm glad that I haven't, because this car has really grown on me, and it's something I think I'll just keep at this point. Just an awesome car, Audi, however you want to say it. I think it's properly pronounced Audi, but I've always heard it as Audi my whole life. But just a little A4. Very nice prototypical wheels. And just like the Mercedes, the grille detail and the headlights on this are awesome. Very, very simple, but very, very accurate. And as you can see with these Kyosho cars, proportions and stance is never an issue. It's not like Greenlight and some of these other brands. the only domestic brand that gets those right every time is Auto World. That's the only American brand that I think, you know, some of their stances are a little bit off, but not anything like some of the Johnny Lightnings and Greenlights. Greenlight doesn't do it often, but when they do it bad. But Kyosho, you never get it. Kyosho and TLV, you can tell that, you know, when they design these castings, they are going for replication authenticity, and they don't miss. Here's a Japanese four-door. This is more of a sports sedan here. The Toyota Altezza. It's known here in the United States as the Lexus IS200. This casting has actually gotten pretty tough to find. At the time I got it from the Toy Pimp. I got it like a year and a half ago. He had the silver one too, and I really wish, if I knew then what I know now, I for sure would have got the silver. I do like this blue color. It looks actually really good in person, but looks pretty bad on camera. And one thing for sure about this car, on these taillights, they put the red on the outside of the lens. And they did that on the second generation Mazda RX-7 Savannah as well. And it really takes away from the look of the car. They really should have gone behind the lens on the back side of it. Had they done that, it would look perfect. But this is an older Kyosho too. This one came out a while ago. They don't do copyright bases, but I'm pretty sure that these Altezzas came out quite a while ago. I think it was probably around 2010. Very cool car, and I'm a collector of Toyotas, so that one is clearly a car that will never leave my collection. Especially since it's one of the few Toyotas that crosses over to the Lexus. Alright, so this last one is my favorite car of all of these. To me, it's the coolest car of all of these. It's not really a car, but you could definitely call it a family grocery getter. And I haven't pulled this out in a while to take a look at, so this is another one that I had too. I had the silver and white. I bought them at the right time. Probably 2 years ago, pretty close to 2 years ago. For the pair, I paid $25 shipped from Japan. And I think they're going, last time I checked, like 40 a piece. So I haven't checked in a while though, so that definitely could change. But this, hands down, by far and away, the nicest G-Wagon that you're going to find in the scale. It makes the Maisto look like crap. It makes the Matchbox look like crap. it makes the Majorette look like crap, although I think I do like that one better than the Maisto. The Maisto, I just don't like the Maisto cars. By the way, I found the Maisto Elite Transport, the ramp truck with the Fox body. So I picked it up, and they're selling for anywhere from like 35 to 55 on eBay. And I listed a whole bunch of stuff today, so if any of you are looking for, I've got a nice lot of Johnny Lightning, I've got a nice lot of Auto World, I've got that Elite Transport. So there's some cool stuff up there. But yeah, the detail on this is about as money as it gets for 1:64 scale. Looks so good. The only thing that I would have preferred, that I wish that they did, that they didn't, is I wish that the either all 7 windows or just the back 5 were tinted. And they kind of do look like they have a little bit of a smoke tint, but not much, if any. This thing is so awesome, though. Glad I kept the silver. It's a great looking 4x4. I wonder if these Peugeots and Citroens are... I wonder if they're all-wheel drive or not. Maybe some of my European friends out there could comment. By the way, I've been getting a lot of love from people from overseas, so I really appreciate that. To me, that is awesome. That, you know, the reach of the internet is endless, and to have people that watch my channel and enjoy my sharing of diecast from, you know, Europe and Asia and South America, it's just awesome, you know, because I've never been out of the United States, so I'm pretty boxed in. But it's a great hobby, and it's really cool to know that you know, there are enthusiasts outside of North America. So thank you for all you foreigners for commenting and participating and informing. You know, because I don't have a lot of I don't have, you know, hardly any information on a lot of this foreign stuff. So all of your guys' expertise is always welcome, and it's always appreciated. And at some point, I'm going to open that. Doesn't look like much, but that thing's going to need a really close review because there is so much going on with that car. So much detail. And it's not my scale. It's a little big, which, you know, when I first got it, I kind of had the meh factor. But then I looked at it really closely, and it is impressive. So... but it's not, I don't think, worthy of a standalone video. So it will be cracked. Just don't know when yet. So anyways, you know, I show a lot of JDM, JNC. I show a decent amount of exotic stuff. I show a lot of classic stuff. Excuse me. But I don't show a lot of modern, you know, modern basic family car, grocery getter stuff. And I do enjoy it, so. All right, everybody. That's going to do it. you all have a great Monday. Don't work too hard. Go hunt yourself some nice diecast. And I will be back probably Tuesday, because these cars here that I'm showing you, late model, premium detailed, 4-door cars. I have another one on the way from a trade. It's a brand that I've never heard of, but all my Australian subscribers, all you guys down under, are probably going to like it a lot. And it's a car that I don't have. I don't have a single, well, I guess kind of I do, kind of I don't. But I can't wait to get it, to take a look at it, though. It's going to be a cool car to look at. So you all stay tuned for that. But definitely have a good Monday. Don't work too hard. And happy hunting. I will holler at the next video.